If you need a car which is great for carrying stuff, then a traditional estate is a good choice. And these three cars here are all closely linked, as Volkswagen, Skoda and Audi are all part of the VW group.
So, should you just save yourself some cash and get the absolutely ginormous Skoda Superb Estate? Or maybe spend a little bit extra and go for the slightly posher Volkswagen Passat Estate? Or if you can sacrifice some space for added grace, how about the more expensive Audi A4 Avant? Now, as you know, all these cars are part of the VW group. However, those two are the same underneath the skin, whereas this one is different, and that's because its engine is mounted that way, whereas in these cars, it's mounted that way. That's a boring motoring journalist fact for you right there.
To help you decide which of these similar but different cars is right for you, I'm going to critique their designs.
Volkswagen has done an alright job to make sure this big old box doesn't look totally mind-numbingly dull.
Inspect their cabins.
Full widescreen mappage.
See how practical they are.
Ta-da!
And test what they're like to drive.
Does just feel more special than the other two from behind the wheel.
But let's start off with the prices.
So the Skoda starts from just over £21,000. The Volkswagen just under £25,000. While the Audi, that starts from around £28,500. But what really matters is the price you pay at a dealer. So if you go to carwow.co.uk, you can spec up the car and see the prices you can get.
So what does the Audi have to justify the extra cost?
Now the main reason this car is more expensive than the other two is quite frankly down to that badge. It's more desirable, so people will pay more for the car. Though I have to say, I think this is one of the best looking estates you can buy. Though I would probably spec it with slightly larger wheels.
The VW looks a bit big and bulky compared to the Audi, but in its defence, it is longer and taller. That doesn't mean it's an eyesore though.
Volkswagen has done an alright job to make sure this big old box doesn't look totally mind-numbingly dull. They've done that with a little bit of chrome here and there, and on this particular car, some 18-inch alloys.
The Skoda, on the other hand, focuses more on space than style, but that's kind of how it should be.
The Superb is definitely the least appealing of the three estate cars to look at, but then I guess the Volkswagen group would be shooting itself in the foot if it made its budget brand look flashier than its premium brand.
So the outside is functional, but what about inside?
Skoda may be synonymous with value for money, but there's nothing budget about this interior, nothing budget about it at all. And there's loads of squidgy soft touch materials throughout the place. I'm very impressed.
The infotainment systems are simple to use thanks to a mix of physical shortcut buttons and a responsive touchscreen. So, does the Passat offer anything that the Superb lacks?
Right, I'm going to be brutally honest. I don't think it feels any posher inside here than in a Skoda. I mean, yeah, the quality is good, but then it is in the Superb. The only thing really for me that differentiates the two is that you can get this Passat with digital driver's instruments, just like in an Audi.
The system has customizable dials which can display navigation, trip and media information. Obviously, it's an option you have to pay extra for. As for the main infotainment system, well, it works smoothly and the mapping and menus look smart, but apart from some different fonts and colours, it's pretty much identical to the Skoda system. And that brings us on to the Audi. Is there enough of an uplift in quality and tech over the other two to justify its higher price? Hell yeah!
The A4's interior is on another level compared to the other two cars. I mean, it's just so posh inside. Also, the infotainment system, admittedly, this is the upgraded larger screen, but I prefer the fact that you control it with a swivel wheel. It's just simpler to use on the move. And then there's Audi's beautiful virtual cockpit. I mean, look at that. Full widescreen mappage.
The navigation is powered by Google Maps, and the satellite view shows much greater detail than the systems in the other two cars. Quick loading times and simple menus means that it's one of the best systems on the market. However, all these upgrades come at quite a sizable cost, as is the usual Audi way. Still, the Audi is a great place to be if you're in the front, but how about in the back?
There's easily enough room in the back of this Audi, even for taller adults. I mean, it's absolutely fine. One slight complaint, maybe I can't fully stretch out, but yeah, it's not too bad.
More of a problem is that it's not great for carrying 3 people in the back at once, as there's a large hump in the middle of the floor and the central seat is quite narrow. Fitting a child seat though is fairly easy. However, the Audi has the smallest rear doors here, so it's slightly more of a squeeze to get the baby seat in than in the VW with its massive rear doors. But what about for grown-ups?
This car's super massive in the back seats. I mean, what can I say? Definitely don't really need any more room than this. I could do miles. Good. That's about it, really.
Well, not quite everything, because the Passat has the comfiest centre seat, so it's the best for carrying 3 rear seat passengers at once, even if for taller passengers there's slightly less headroom than you get in the Skoda. The Skoda Superb centre seat is wide too, but it's firm and raised, so it's not as nice to sit in as that in the Passat. But if there's just 2 in the back, well, the Superb wins out due to its sheer vastness.
All 3 cars have plenty of room in the back seats, but this Skoda has the most. I mean, just look at this. Look at it. Look at it. It's absolutely ginormous. I have been in limousines which are more cramped in the back than this Skoda Superb Estate. Brilliant for carrying passengers.
When it comes to installing a child seat, it's a draw between the Superb and the Passat. But what about if you need to carry stuff as well as humans?
If you're playing boot volume top trumps, then this Skoda Superb Estate, well, yes, it would win. I mean, look at that. Absolutely massive. Now, you don't have 3-way split folding seats, but I do have a ski hatch. Come on. There you go. Can you see it through there? Fortunately, I can't fold down the rear seats using levers here. I have to do it from the top. There we go. Then they do fold down. But I like this feature, the way you can raise the boot floor, just like this. Ta-da!
There's plenty more magic at work in the Superb's boot. One of the side pockets holds a pair of Velcro dividers which can stick to the boot floor to stop smaller items from rolling around. Although all 3 cars get a 12-volt socket, the Superb gets a removable boot light which doubles as an LED torch. Most importantly though, the boot is simply enormous. There's plenty of room for baby kit, sports gear, or a holiday, all stowed under the low cover. With the seats folded down, there's then room for 7 boxes, a large and a small suitcase, plus a soft bag with space left over for a couple of smaller items. So how does the Passat's boot measure up in terms of space and features?
This Passat's boot is absolutely huge. I like the way I can just move the parcel shelf back in a 2-step process by pressing it. Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? Also, you get things like hooks there to hang stuff off. And look, on this car, I can press a button up here, fold the middle seat down to carry longer items, and I can release the back seats from here. And look, when I tug on that, now if that one was joined to the centre bit, it would flop down all the way, as I'll illustrate now with this other one. There you go, you see. Now you might be thinking, oh no, there's a bit of a lip to lift stuff over. But if I do this, it has gone, and I have a flat load floor there. Brilliant.
With the seats up, the Passat's boot is just 10 litres smaller than the Superb's, so you can carry pretty much an identical amount of stuff. However, the low cover is slightly higher in the Passat, so you can put a small suitcase on top of a large one, which you can't quite do in the Skoda. With the seats folded though, you can fit a similar amount of stuff as in the Superb, though everything is just a slightly tighter squeeze in the Passat. Really though, there's little to choose from between the VW and the Skoda for load space. And that brings us on to the Audi.
This A4's boot has some useful features, such as, look, this one's got an electric tailgate, if you like those sorts of things. The parcel shelf automatically moves up out of the way when you open the hatch. And there's some other things as well, such as this, look, a reversible boot floor. So that side is actually wipe clean, which is handy if you have a dirty dog. You can also get this netting here to stop your dog salivating over the back seats. If I just fold this down, you can 3-way split the seats there, so you can carry longer items and 2 people in the back. And you can release the seats, fold them down here as well using these handles. So you do have to reach in and actually push the seat back down, which is a bit annoying, as is this slight load lip here as well, which you don't get in the other 2 estate cars.
However, the major issue is the space, which, while good in isolation, trails the other 2 by quite some margin. With the seats up, it doesn't have the height nor width to take 4 suitcases like the Superb and the Passat can, and with the seats folded flat, it's 1 medium box and 1 large suitcase short of the other 2 as well. So now I've covered the practical stuff, let's see how each car fares out on the road. First up, the Superb.
This Skoda is a really nice car to drive. You know, it's comfy enough, doesn't feel sporty, but then what do you expect? It's a big Skoda estate car. It doesn't need to be sporty, it just needs to hold the road well enough, and it does exactly that. And I find it very relaxing to travel in, actually. The only thing is though, you do get a little bit of wind whistle, a bit of tyre roar, but yeah, on the whole it's very impressive. And you can get it with a wide range of engines as well. They're all 4-cylinder, obviously, but you can get 4-wheel drive if you need to, automatic gearboxes. And the highest performance version actually has 280 horsepower. It's not bad.
This Superb has a 1.6 litre turbo diesel engine. Skoda says it'll do 67 miles per gallon, and I got 45.7 miles per gallon. That's not bad, but I think you'll be better off with one of the faster and smoother 2 litre diesels. In fact, you should follow this advice in the Passat, as it has the exact same engines as the Superb.
Now, it's really interesting jumping out of the Skoda and into this, because they do feel very similar, but there are a few key differences. I think that this Passat handles ever so slightly better. Not that it really matters to most people. Also, this one is a bit more comfortable, and that's because it's got the adaptive damper set up. So at the press of a button, I can put it into comfort mode, which is what I'm using now, or press it again and you get sports mode, which firms up the suspension and stops body roll, though most of the time most people will go in comfort mode for obvious reasons. The biggest difference though is perhaps the noise, or lack thereof. You see, this car just seems to be a little bit quieter than the Skoda. It's as though the added price you pay on the VW goes into soundproofing. So if you do a lot of miles, that could be a clincher. If you don't do a lot of miles and you're mainly driving around town, you probably want a petrol engine, and well, you can't get the Passat with a petrol engine, it's diesel only. So that could be a clincher, but the opposite way.
On the plus side, the 2-litre diesel is pretty economical. Volkswagen claims the Passat Estate will do 61 miles per gallon with this 150 horsepower unit. And I actually got 51 miles per gallon out of it, which is better than the smaller engine in the Superb. This Audi A4 actually has a similar 2-litre diesel engine, only it's tuned to 190 horsepower, yet it still managed a similar economy as the Passat.
So finally moving into the Audi, you do feel that some of your extra cash has gone to how this car drives, because it does just feel more special than the other two from behind the wheel. This particular car is on sport suspension, so it's a bit firmer than the other two, but it's not uncomfortable, and it handles better. If you put it on the comfort suspension, or even better the adaptive dampers, then yeah, it is the comfiest car of the three. One thing that really stands out though is how quiet it is. It is quieter than the other two. It is the most relaxing, more premium feeling car to travel in. You've also got a wide range of engines with it, including a 3-litre V6 turbo petrol, which can do 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds. Gearboxes are pretty much the same as the other two cars. The all-wheel drive system is different though than the ones that you get on the other two, and it's a better all-wheel drive system as well. It actually sends more power to the rear wheel, so it feels sportier, this car does, to drive. So yeah, on the whole, if I could have one of these cars to drive, it's going to be this Audi, just saying.
So then, where does all that leave us?
Well, the Passat, it's a really good estate car. Trouble is, it's caught between a rock, which is the A4, and a hard place, which is the Superb, because really, if you want the biggest estate car, it's the Skoda. If you want the most luxurious one, it's the Audi. And to make matters worse, if you were to buy these cars on PCP, this VW can actually work out more per month than the Audi when you compare them like for like. So that's a bit of a no-brainer. You're gonna go for the Audi. But really, if you want the best value car and really the best estate overall, it has to be this, the Skoda Superb Estate. Few cars offer so much for so little money.
Please like, share and comment on this video, and click on our logo to subscribe for more, or click on the windows to watch the detailed reviews of each of the cars in this test.